Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the third webinar Innovate Together that we organized for you today, targeting circular economy and energy transition in industry. This webinar has been organized by Lex Innovation, Materalia, MecaTech, and Skywin, 4 clusters of the greater region. My name is Caroline Muller, and I am the manager of the Materials and Manufacturing Cluster at Luxinnovation in Luxembourg, and I have the pleasure to moderate this session with Thibaut van Roden, International Affairs Executive at MecaTech in Belgium. Hi, Thibaut.
Hi, Caroline.
So we start with a short recap of the 4 webinars that we've organized or will organize this week for you. So yesterday, you could attend 2 webinars dedicated to European projects about advanced and sustainable by design materials and digitalization and human-robot collaboration. Those webinars are available in replay if you missed it. So today we'll focus on European funding, targeting circular economy and energy transition in industry. And on Thursday, we'll have the 4th webinar focusing on European funding and bottom-up initiatives. But before we go to the agenda and we present the speakers of the day, I would like to remind you on how to use this tool. You have the possibility in the upper right button chat, to say hello, to present yourself in a few words. If you have questions for our speakers, just click on the questions tab next to chat, and then please ask your questions to the speakers in this section. And we have prepared today a poll for you that we would like you to answer, please. So it's 3 small questions. So if you can all click on the poll tab, you see the first question. Are you interested in taking part in future calls? Yes or no? The second question, did you already collaborate with a partner in the greater region for innovation or development? Yes or no? And the third question, have you already been involved in a European project? Yes or no? So please, during this webinar, this session, take less than 1 minute to answer these 3 questions. And now we can move to today's agenda. So first, we would like to introduce the 4 clusters of the greater region that are organizing these webinars to foster collaboration, cross-regional collaboration. We will present the objectives of the webinar, and then we'll move to European program. The first section will be dedicated to Horizon Europe, and it will be presented by Stefano Pozzi-Mucelli from Luxinnovation. Hello, Stefano.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
And then we will move to Eureka Call and the Green Transition Program that will be presented by Sinem Altucun from Euroja 2020. Good morning, Sinem.
Good morning. Good morning, all.
And then we will conclude with the next step and the presentation of the workshop that we will present in June. So let's first present shortly the 4 clusters of the greater region. So the first one is in northeast of France. In Metz, it's Materalia. It's a competitiveness cluster. It's composed of more than 300 people and 82 SMEs, and the fields of interest are mainly additive manufacturing, factory of the future, digital transition, advanced materials, circular economy, and green transition. This cluster provides different services and expertise to its members, like consortium identification, partner search, events organization, networking, but also they provide competencies on European projects like stakeholder engagement, key information monitoring, dissemination, and communication. If you have any questions and you would like to contact Materalia, please contact Mr. Jérémy Keller. You have his contact information in this slide. The second cluster is the Materials and Manufacturing Cluster in Lex Innovation. So Lex Innovation in Luxembourg is the national agency for innovation, and the cluster I'm taking care of fosters innovation, business development, and cross-sector collaboration. Our objectives are clear. We would like to implement new technologies and create high added value in the industry ecosystem in Luxembourg, and we are mainly focusing on Industry 4.0, additive manufacturing, automation, and robotics, but we also support greater region projects like plastic loop and plastic recycling. We promote the Luxembourgish industry in the greater region, but also at the international level. And we stimulate innovation and business development through public-private partnerships and through cross-sector flagship projects. So we have approximately 114 members, 102 companies, and if you have any question, you can contact me. And now I leave the floor to my colleague Thibaut, who will present the greater region, the Wallonia clusters.
Thank you, Caroline. A few words about MecaTech. So it's a competitiveness cluster in mechanical engineering based in Wallonia in Belgium. Our main objective is to set up collaborative projects, R&D projects, training projects, investment projects, and we have a technological focus. So it's there's four important areas where the ecosystem and the project that we work on focus on. It's advanced material, advanced manufacturing, mechatronics, and data technology. So it's relatively wide, and as you can expect, the application domains of the projects and the members, the ecosystem, are also quite wide. You can see them listed here. We have approximately 300 members, and the relevant competence for today's topic is mostly what we're doing today. So supporting our members in joining European projects, say with partnerships, event and networking and things like this. And I am the contact person for MecaTech. Now moving to our colleagues of Skywin. Skywin is also competitiveness cluster based in Wallonia, so the objective of setting up innovative project is similar. Here, the scope is slightly different. It's a sectorial scope, and our colleagues from Skywin have a great ecosystems and projects, specifically also in the domains of aeronautics and space, among others. And this means that there's also interesting topics such as, for example, composite materials, advanced metal alloys, which have a great add-on also to the other cluster present here in this working group. Contact person, Pierre-Jean Fondu. As you can see, there is data, but you might also be in contact with Anthony Bielevé that spoke yesterday in the first webinar. Also, a few quick words about SARIS Saarland. We talked about the greater region. We are discussing now with SARIS, Saarland add-on partner, which will enable us to cover also the last region of greater region that was not covered and to open up to Germany. I'm not going to go in details in this slide because SARIS is going to present itself on Thursday at the same time at 11. So if you want to know a bit more about the opportunities here, connect on Thursday and you will hear all about it. Now, to conclude this introduction, a few important words about the context, the objective, and the process. Now, this webinar, this series of webinars is organized by 4 innovation clusters of the greater region and that we introduced already. This is the follow-up of a work that started already at least a year ago, and there was the first edition in October. In this session, we also invited a cluster from Spain, Meta for Industry, that spoke on the 2 first session. That's another interesting add-on to connect with the Spanish ecosystem. And very important, we have the support of the 3 national contact points, which is very important to connect with the European opportunities and Horizon Europe specifically. Now, what you have to keep in mind globally, the global objective of what we're trying to achieve, so not specifically today, but in this collaborative work that we started already a year ago, is that we try to foster the collaborative innovation project between, let's say, this ecosystem of members. So it does not mean that, for example, trade mission or business is not important, but this means that the core of this working group and that we're offering us is in this innovative projects, hence the presentation about European funding opportunities and so on. So that's, let's say, the global objective. Now, coming back to the objective of today, there's 3. It's to continue to interconnect our cluster ecosystem, as we did in October. It's also to inform and to inspire you about the opportunities and to convince you that going on the European level is interesting and important for you. And the last point is also to encourage you to share your ideas, because this, we believe, is the starting point of how we can help you out. Now, going to the process, as you have understood, there's 4 webinars that are organized this week. The idea is to present the ecosystem and to give you an example of funding. Then what we expect from you is to come up, to step up, and you have until the 24th of May to share your ideas with us, to register for the next step. And you can do this via the registration link that you can see here. This is very important because depending on the inputs that you provide us, we will be able to adapt the format, and we'll discuss with the NCPs to see what the most adequate format of the 17th of June can be to support you in this process of setting up a project with colleagues from the different ecosystems. So it's a bit of a reverse, let's say, process, not starting from a call, but you're starting from your idea. So your input here are key. And this is, let's say, the next vital point in the process that we're offering you today. That's it from the introduction. I think we're right on time. So, and now I will leave the floor to Stefano, which will lead us through the opportunities related to this topic in Horizon Europe. Stefano, I leave you the floor.
Thanks, Thibaut. Thank you very much for the introduction. Let me start my presentation here. Yes, there it is. So, yes, today the aim is to talk about a bit about what's there for circularity and energy transition in industry. So, mostly focusing on two clusters of Horizon Europe, plus, yes, the third pillar as well, where you have the European Innovation Council. First, who we are, well, we are in Lex Innovation. I'm part of the European Research Development Innovation Support Team. We are national contact point for Horizon Europe, but we also have the role of national delegates to the program committees. So we are both participating to the setup of the call for proposals, but also to the support offered to the participant. We start then from your idea. So we try to understand what's your project idea and to identify the relevant European funding opportunities for supporting your research and innovation. We help you identifying excellent partners, seeking complementarities, and working with the best in class. We provide technical support, advice, legal and financial support, critical proposal review, and the aim is to have more successful EU-funded projects. So we try. If we are successful, of course, we also are happy to support you in the implementation of your project. And yes, next one. Okay, yeah, Horizon Europe, it's started now. You have already the first call for proposals open. You have some EIC calls, ERC as well. What's the philosophy behind Horizon Europe? The philosophy is to support research and innovation for the next 7 years. The support research and innovation, but trying to have more emphasis on the sustainability aspects. So you see on the left of this slide the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. How to do that? With a green transition, working both on green technologies and on digital. So that essentially, if you look at the Green Deal, we don't go into the details of the slide, but the aim of the Green Deal growth strategy of Europe is the donut economic idea. So to have generating wealth within the planet boundaries, leaving no one behind. So this is the philosophy that we have at the moment in Europe. You have all the different topics in which the Green Deal strategy is applying. Very much relevant is of course, greening of the industry and making it more, sustainable from an energy perspective. So let's go very quickly. You have seen now in many presentations the structure of Horizon Europe. You have the 3 pillars as it was in the past. One on scientific excellence, one on the global challenges, and one on innovation in Europe. Within the global challenges, we will talk about 2 clusters today. Cluster 4, which is digital, industry, and space, and Cluster 5, which is climate, energy, and mobility. Within Cluster 4, I have selected two or three areas that I'm going to talk to you about, with some specific highlights for some topics. It's very important to remember before going into the discussion about these topics that within Cluster 4, the major way of implementing this kind of research is through public and private partnerships. So when you speak about here, for instance, hubs for circularity, you have to think about the processes for planets partnership. This is well written into the work program, so you will have, when you're going to look at these calls, you will find this information. It's very important that when you're thinking about these topics, you go and see what are the priorities for the partnership related to this area, because in this way you will have a substantial impact to the project. One of the major concepts that Processes for Planets has developed is the concept of hubs for circularity. So what are these hubs for circularity? They are essentially geographically limited areas of a radius of around 25 kilometers. It doesn't need to be limited to one country. It can be, of course, cross-border hubs, as it happens quite often in the Grand Region here. The aim in this hubs for circularity is to have industrial-urban symbiosis, resulting in zero waste to landfill, using plastic as a feedstock. Wasted energy from one industry can be used by other industry across sectors and value chains, or for residential use, so that energy is not wasted, is transformed into a resource for someone else. Of course, there's also the aspects of water recovery. What's important, and this is for a number of stakeholders active in the digital sector, that this is not just a hard technology effort, it's also enabled by digital solutions and platforms. I have selected 3 topics into this area. First one, deploying industrial-urban symbiosis for the utilization of energy, water, industrial waste, and byproducts at a regional scale. It's a research and innovation action, so 100% funded for whoever participates, both the industry, SMEs, startups, research center, and the entire private public sector, of course. The aim is to deploy real-scale pilot of industrial urban symbiosis. So you need to have the residential sector involved as well. The important aspect is to have near zero emissions and near zero water discharge, 50% reduction of industrial waste generation. You need to involve regulators, because you need to have a standardization aspect, and you need to have knowledge sharing, because you want this to be a lighthouse for the entire continent, for the entire block. So budget, you see pretty large projects funded 100%. There's money for, let's say, 3 projects, and the deadline to be confirmed is this September, 23rd of September. This topic is probably more for the public players, for the academia, for the regulators, and it's about building a community of practice. So to try to develop guidelines, it's a coordination and support action. So the aim normally is to have in this project develop guidance for wider adoption in other places of this kind of solution, in this case, of the hubs for circularity. So it's defining KPIs, measures, the specific knowledge, all the possible supporting mechanisms to deploy in the whole continent this solution. You see, it's a small project with a small budget. Final project, it's an innovation action. So the funding rate for the private players will be lower. There's currently a discussion on this funding rate between 60 and 70%, whether it comes from a partnership or not. I will keep you posted on this. So the aim in this topic is to valorize waste, plastic waste in particular. So the using waste, and in particular using waste, replacing also the fossil feedstocks that are used to produce plastics. So using renewable energy sources, using hydrogen, and having at least 60% GHG greenhouse gases emission reduction in the overall life cycle. So for this topic, important to have an expert in life cycle impact assessment. Budget for the projects, big ones, 12 to 18 million per project, 38 million in total. So again, 3 million projects to be funded under this topic. For the energy transition, 2 areas. One is about greening the steel industry, very important for this area, for this region, and the energy transition. The first part, in particular, the greening of the steel industry, is implemented by the Clean Steel Partnership, which is a new public-private partnership for the development of strategic research innovation agenda in the area. What are the important areas? Hydrogen and electricity-based metallurgy, hybrid heating technologies, including biomasses, and the focus is on reducing the environmental footprint also of the extraction. For the energy transition, renewables, digital tools enabling better utilization of energy, and hydrogen. Selected some topics here. One is electricity and hydrogen-based metallurgy. It's very clear in the title. It's an innovation action for smaller project compared to the ones we discussed before, but with 4 projects to be funded under this topic. So it's reducing significantly the emission. The aim is to reduce very significantly the emission, up to 95% compared to levels of 1990. And here the Commission is quite kind, because they say what's the baseline for the calculation. Yes, an interesting aspect is not just the use of electricity and hydrogen for the energy, but it's for the direct reduction of iron with the hydrogen. Yes, another topic, the adjustment of the steel products production to prepare for the transition towards climate neutrality. This is a topic specifically related to the energy and material flows in the existing steel installation. So how we can try to adapt to what's coming. And it's, for this reason, it's an incremental adaptation that should be performed here, including biomasses, for instance, as reducing agents. It's about showcasing, and in fact, it's an innovation action. So it's for pilot installations. And an interesting point on this is that the new grant agreement for Horizon Europe is also considering in a different way, and in the depreciation and the capitalization of the pilot installations. So I would be happy to discuss with companies' interest about how they can better account their pilot lines inside these projects. For sake of time, I move quickly to Climate Cluster 5, which is about climate, energy, and mobility. It's a very large cluster, like around 15 billion euros in size, with six destinations, covering quite a wide range of solutions, because we move from climate to energy to autonomous driving, for instance. I focus on the energy part, and in particular on two destination 3 on sustainable, secure, and competitive energy supply, and on destination 4, efficient, sustainable, and inclusive energy use. We move quickly to the 2 destinations you can, of course, contact me afterwards or my colleague Sana Alaranta for these topics specifically. What's important, you have very high number of topics here. In the first part, which is about global leadership in renewable energy, really it's important that there's a very specific focus on carbon neutral solution for transport and industry. Deadlines are late August of 2021 for the 2021 call on the energy system, grids and storage. Again, I think that it's very important to focus on how there's integration and the integration with the grid and of the storage solution directly inside the factory floor and carbon capture, utilization and storage. This is a very interesting area in particular for large emitters. So how you can convert carbon into, instead of emitting it, how you can store it. For the destination 4, you have the important part related to the building, to energy efficient buildings, and this is again developed by a partnership Built for People, which has calls here in cluster 5, but also inside cluster 4. And where I really wanted to arrive is the energy efficient in industry via recovery, update, and convert industrial excess heat and through the electrification of heat generation. So you have 2 topics here for 19th of October and very relevant for this webinar in particular. Finally, it's about the EIC. Time is always short in this webinar, but I'm getting close to the end for questions. The EIC has a range of instruments starting from very low TRL to market deployment up to TRL 9 for TRL 9 activities, of course, just for SME. I'm sorry for the big industries that I saw in the list of participants. The aim is to support via different tools science towards technology, research, and it's the EIC Pathfinder, transition, which is the building of a prototype essentially, and the accelerator, which is a blended finance tool to reach market deployment and the global scale up. Interesting for today, I will speak about the accelerator Thursday, but interestingly, the accelerator, which is normally a bottom-up tool, so you're free to propose your topic. In the accelerator, you have a series of challenges, they called, in which you have the possibility to prepare project on specific thematic areas, and there's quite significant Green Deal related area applications. Hydrogen production in the Pathfinder, energy harvesting and storage, so batteries in the transition, and the Green Deal innovation for the economic recovery, which is covering all the topics that you have in the Green Deal growth strategy. Before closing, if you're not planning to participate in a project this year because of time, because of the fact that you don't have your best calls available, think about becoming an expert. It's very important because I've been an expert myself, and you really understand the process of writing a project according to what the Commission is asking. And you can do it, and in case you have a conflict of interest, then you can disclose it and pull out from the process whenever you want. So it's not an issue if you then are involved in a project and you want to go ahead. It's yes, it's really a very nice experience that you can do, because you see what the Commission is really asking the evaluators to look at the project, to look inside the project, so in the proposal. So you understand how it's better to write your own proposal. And yes, questions you have. I see there's a red dot on the question tab, and it's yes. I put the wrong contact name of my other colleague here, not Rebecca. It's someone that you should contact for Cluster 5. But yes, you can also register on our newsletter on horizoneurope.lu, so you can be informed about our initiative, our next events, and also important events happening in Europe. And yes.
Thank you very much, Stefano.
Thank you, and thank you for your attention.
I think the participants are this morning a little shy or tired. It depends. There's no specific question whatsoever on the different topics that you presented, and thank you very much, because there's a lot of information. So the good thing is the participant can also access this via replay to look it up with a little more time, also to dig into these topics, because there are quite a lot of opportunities coming soon. And from my side, just a question, because there's been a couple of change, if I'm not mistaken, in the dates. I had the impression that the first calls were coming very quickly, but from what I see, I have the impression that some dates have been extended for the first call. There's a bit more time to prepare. I see the first dates are in September. Was there a change on this?
Yes, I took the last version yesterday. I downloaded the last draft version yesterday, just to be sure that I'm using the correct ones, because yes, things are changing at the moment. There are still some delays in the adoption process, and so these are the dates that now are for those specific calls inside the draft program. We don't know if we are going eventually with those dates, or if there are further changes to happen. I don't expect having more calls being put before the summer, to be honest. We were discussing it within the EAC, that going later than late June, means that you have the entire process happening in the summer. So it doesn't work. It's too complicated to have it work in August, in particular in the commission in August. In remote working, I don't see it happening, to be honest. So at the moment we have these deadlines. The adoption is foreseen, but don't take this as a date, as carved in stone. Is before, I think it should be around the 12th of May, but may change. Everything is subject to change, and please my best advice is register to our newsletter, follow our social channels, so you can get the information as soon as everything is official.
Thank you very much for this information.
Okay, so before we switch to our next speaker, Sinem Altuncu from Euroja 2020, I would like to remind to the audience, please don't hesitate to introduce yourself in the chats, that we cannot see each other. So it's really nice to see who is there and why you're there, and probably you can make contacts as well. And we have really a small poll in the poll section on the upper right with 3 questions. It's really interesting as well for us to analyze if you already participated to European calls, if you're looking for partners. So maybe you don't see it, but really when you look at the upper right of your screen, there is a white arrow. You click on it and you have on one side or the other. And then you have the chat, the questions and the poll. So please do not hesitate to have a look and write your comments. So now I'm really pleased to introduce Sinem Altuncu from Euroja 2020, and she will introduce us the Eureka Green Transition Calls. So Sinem, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, all. Good morning. It's really very proud for me to be here. First of all, I would like to thank for the invitation for this webinar. Thank you very much. Before talking about the details of the green transition call, I would like to give a draft information about Euroja Cluster. I'm Sinem Altuncu. I'm the general manager of Euroja Cluster. Euroja is a Eureka cluster which is supporting business, research centers, and universities which are taking part in the international projects. Our cluster is a bottom-up, industry-driven, market-oriented program which is addressing all energy areas, from energy efficiency to energy renewable energies and reduction of carbon footprint. Euroja is supporting international projects which are developing innovative ideas on low carbon energy technologies. Nowadays, we know that green transition is the mandatory path to achieve the goals for a sustainable environment, the reduction of climate change, and sustainable growth. That's why we powered this call very much, and we launched this green transition call on 22nd of February. The proposal submission date will be 15th of June. We had a brokerage event on 29th of March, but we will have one more. Most probably it will be mid-May, and we will, of course, announce the new date of the brokerage event. I would like to tell some possible application areas for this green transition call. Of course, it's time to address the climate change, as all we know, with the innovative project tackling 4 thematic pillars, which are carbon-free energy supply, greener, smarter mobility, smarter housing constructions, and bioresources and environment. When we look to the possible application areas, we can see that offshore wind turbines, bioenergy, solar panels, hydrogen fuel cells, carbon dioxide captures, green and zero emission buildings, AI, IoT, big data, 5G, 6G, and of course, any more. The table showed a non-exclusive list of possible application areas for this call. Of course, other relevant topics are also welcome. There are 9 Eureka countries which are supporting green transition call: Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Hungary, Luxembourg, South Africa, South Korea, Spain, and Turkey. When we made the brokerage event for this call on 29th of March, after the brokerage event, each country has national webinars for the green transition call. So in each country, green transition call are explaining detailedly, and the companies, the organizations, the research centers, and of course, universities have the detailed information about this call. If you will submit a project submissions will be based on a single-step process, accessed through the Eureka Euroja Green Transition Call website, which is written on the slide. This is the Green Transition Call website, which you can have all detailed information for the call. Call guidance is available on the website. You can have all detailed information about this call. There will be a brokerage tool. When you enter the website, you can see this. You can have your project ideas in the brokerage tool. Also, you can find the contact names, the news, the events, every details about the call. Call submission support will be provided by the Euroja Cluster, of course. It's essential for each partner to contact their supporting public authority at the earliest opportunity to verify eligibility, because each country has different priorities for their public authorities. There are different funding rates and different rules of the participations, which is subject to national policy, of course. So it will be very good to connect your public authority as soon as possible. When you enter the website, you can see a brokerage tool, which you can go to this log into tool site. If you will register this tool, you can have a chance to have your project idea in this tool, and you can submit your project idea, of course. First, you are filling the forms in the tool, then you are downloading the proposal templates for the green transition call, and then when you fulfill the forms, you are uploading the forms and submitting your project. Please do not forget the submission deadline will be 15th of June at 5 Central Europe time. If we look to a successful project, we can say something about this. A successful project should primarily target, of course, the green transition technologies beyond the state of art. The project can propose innovations that will enable green transition applications. Of course, it will form innovative ecosystems with green transition at their core that will result in high impact opportunities for commercial and social impact. It will bring together partners in the field of green transition solutions and enabling technologies. For the Eureka projects, you have to establish a consortium first. We know the supporting countries for green transition call today. There are 9 Eureka countries. Then you can establish a consortium within these countries' companies, and these consortium has to be well balanced, of course, and of course it will bring together partners in the field of green transition solutions. The project will be a mid-sized project, which is between 2 and 10 million euros budget, and of course with a duration of 2 or 3 years. Again, I would like to underline the public authorities' importance in these projects. Of course, you have to have depth meetings with your public authority for gaining the supports. Yes, I mentioned about you the website, which is written in the slide. There is a brokerage tool in the website, and you can have your project ideas regarding this tool, and the depth support will be provided by the Euroja Cluster, of course. I know it's too late, but we announced that if the proposals submit to the brokerage tool before 1st of April, we have been volunteered to pre-check the projects, but this is nearly the end of April, so it's a bit late to talk about this. Yes. When you go to the Green Transition Call Brokerage Tool, you can upload your project idea. Also, you can look for partners via the partner expertise search. You can look for partners for your project idea. Also, you can look for partners for the other project ideas. So you can be a partner for the other project, or you can have your partners for your project idea. This is very important, and with the help of the brokerage tool, you can have all the informations about the project submissions. If you look to the call time of the call, as I mentioned before, the call has been launched on 22nd of February. The deadline will be 15th of June. After the projects submitted, we will start to evaluate the projects with our technical committee first. Of course, with the public authorities, the labeled projects will go to the national funding decisions. It will take time. If you think about the summertime, July and August, it will take time. So the projects will start from December 2021. You can see the call portals, addresses, and also contacts. Also, when you when you log into website, you can see the contacts address from the contact field, and you can write or ask any questions you have about this call. We are looking for your project ideas for this call. This is very important. The aim of this call is to boost the productivity, competitiveness, and environmental sensitivity of European industries through using innovative technologies to reduce their environmental footprint, of course. And you are invited to submit your projects on the green transition technologies and solutions. Thank you to listen to me. I would like to answer your questions. Please do not hesitate to send mail to the cluster or to ask any of questions about the call. Thank you again.
Thanks a lot, Sinem. It was really, really interesting and really well explained how the process is, and especially the brokerage tool that Euroja put in place to look for partners, to provide projects and get partners. So thanks a lot. It was really, really useful.
You're welcome.
Unfortunately, I don't see questions for you yet. Maybe Thibaut, you have some?
There's no specific questions on this topic. There was one question for Stefano, but it's already been answered directly via the question in the chat tab. So I think we're all set with the questions.
So in any case, if the audience has questions to Sinem, the presentations will be available in replay and all the contacts will be shared. So do not hesitate. And the timeline is short, but it's really interesting and it's worth because the range of application is high for this Eureka call. Thank you. So I guess now it will be time to conclude. And I leave the floor to Thibaut. And I thank you again, the speakers, Stefano and Sinem, and I wish you a nice day.
A few words of conclusion. I'm going to be quite brief because we're reached the time already that we allocated for this webinar. Simply, the presentation today will be available via replay. So there was a lot of content that was shared. So you can find a lot of this content in the replay. Quite important also for the follow-up, as you understood, this was a first step in the process that we're proposing. The next step is, if you have a project idea and if you want to connect for this project idea with the ecosystem that you can reach by those 4 partners, around 800 to 1,000 entities, well, register on the workshop, share your idea with us. That's the next stage. So it's up to you to take action now. If you have any information about the process, you can contact Caroline, the data is here, or me. And I think that's it. Pretty much the process is displayed here again, and I explained it earlier on. So voila. The last thing that I need to do is to thank very much the speakers for the input, and to thank you also as participant for your interest and to have listened to this webinar. And the only thing that's left here is to wish you an excellent day. Looking forward to your proposal.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.